Hello, beautiful being. In this video, I'll be talking about the relational pattern between parents and children, adult and children, us as children, with our parents. So, yeah, enjoy.
Repattern reality and let it ripple.
Allow the children to change your reality. So, there's this way of perceiving children in this planet that keeps us from receiving the treasures, alchemical abilities, and transformation spaces that we can be in alongside children. So, what patterns this reality, what we have called reality, has basically been the base of the link of adult-child, whether that be parent-child, teacher-child, babysitter-child, adult-child relation. And that relation is what creates a pattern that continues to create the continuation of the pattern. And as a pattern continues and continues, we're like, well, this pattern is continuing and continuing repetitively, so this is reality, right? Now, when a child threatens that pattern of what we're used to calling reality, what we were programmed to do is to protect the child, warn the child, mold the child in order to fit into reality, because if they don't, how will they survive? Now, this whole perception, there's an issue in it because it's clogging the evolutionary wheels, let's call it. Like, things are meant to continue rolling. And if we don't allow ourselves to be transformed by our relationship to children, then there's going to be this cancerous clog in our human evolution, which is not happening. There already are huge shifts with parents waking up to the fact about the flaws in the education system and how their lives have been designed in ways that don't support this most important thing in life, which is their relationship to their children. Many more parents homeschooling, a lot more Waldorf schools and alternative nature schools out there. And also, there still is some clarity that wants to be dropped through me about this parent-child dynamic, because it could get really, really subtle. So the whole base program that many of us grew up in is teach the child about reality, keep them safe, um, give them the tools they need to survive, and share with them what helped us survive, share with them, and try not to burden them with all the suffering you went through. Now, as much as the intention of this is to be a good parent, so you can leave this planet thinking, okay, they got everything they need, that's everything I had. There could be this experience as an adult in a child's life where the child really becomes a burden. And we feel burdened and we feel like we've lost our freedom, or we feel like we've lost our sense of individuality, or all these things that parents deal with, and there are other types of things that teachers deal with, and those who take care of children. I am not a parent, so it's a very sensitive topic for me to speak up like this about these things, but it's just boiling up within me to a point where if I don't speak, I'm going to get sick. And so my experience with this has, first been being a child, is I clearly remember witnessing a world, like being born in New York, growing up in a war zone, facing a lot of darkness that adults were running, where as a child, I just felt like a spark of light that knew source and knew how simple and beautiful life is meant to be. And I had a lot of light capacity as a child, I'd say till age maybe 6, where I was like really attempting to gently guide the adults through humor or through gentle whispers of like, forgiveness is easy. They didn't mean to do bad. Like basic things that are the base of all life and the codes of creation and love. And so I have been a child and experiencing the education system I was born up, and I was like, what are these adults doing? Like, it's just like a gray, everything was gray. Only dandelion flowers were yellow, and everything looked gray. Even adults looked gray. And when I'd see some colors, I would get so excited, and I would speak to angels and guides, and I was able to interdimensionally travel as a child, but had no one to really share that with. So at age 6, I remember getting into school and being like, oh, okay, this is the game I need to play, or this is what my mother really believes to be true, or like, I need to get with the program. Otherwise, like, I don't know how to speak up yet. And so I feel like I fell into this slumber of my soul, figuring out how to play this adult game, this delusion that people see as reality. And so I've been a child, and then I'm going to skip many phases in my life. I just want to present a background of like where I'm coming from is I worked in regular preschools. And when I was like, I'm called to work with the children. I was an actress, I was writing plays, we did like some children's performances, and I was like, I need to actually be with children right now. And so I made some calls while I was doing other projects and work and image making, and I was like, I need to work with the children. I found a preschool. I was like, okay, I need to work at this preschool. I was horrified by what I was seeing the children were dealing with at preschools. And I was like, oh my God, is this seriously what children are? Is this what I grew up in? And I started feeling this immense grief and pain for something that was so innocently harmful just because it's this machine going on and on and on that needs to happen for the reality machine to survive. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I quit working at that preschool. And then I don't even know what it was. I think I must have prayed or like, okay, I need to work with children. I don't know what this is supposed to look like. And I heard about Waldorf. And so I started subbing at a Waldorf school in Israel for many different ages. And it was as though I experienced a way a child could possibly grow up that I hadn't experienced. And I felt like I was healing my own inner child by working at this school. And also, I eventually became like the lead teacher because the main teacher got pregnant, and it was like, oh yeah, I didn't do any training. I guess I'm leading. And I almost just settled into doing that full time. And I was called, so there were so many differences, right? Is like you're allowed to each treat each child uniquely and like listen to them. There was no in Waldorf. I don't know how it is in the U.S. because I haven't worked as a Waldorf teacher in the U.S. But they leave the imagination open. Like they don't give them toys that define things, or they use really fat crayons at certain ages, so they don't need to work on detail. They're very sensitive about the developmental stages of the brain of a child. So every stage they respect like where the child is at with their development, keeping their creativity and their imagination alive. So like we would play with materials and create things, or even do things with them where usually probably they'd say in regular preschool, oh, that's dangerous for a child. We would actually give them knives and help them learn how to cut their own cucumber. Like it was just like groundbreaking. And I was enjoying it, and I was like, yes, I could touch the child, I can hold the child, I can treat each child differently and uniquely. There's no need for comparison here, there's no need for these ultimatum rules. And I get to support the child in each of their unique ways in the system. And so that a whole nother layer of grief came up about all the other children that weren't experiencing this, and also how I grew up. Like, whoa, what would my life be like if I grew up in an environment that supported my imagination and creativity in my body, rather than sitting on a hard chair and staring at a blackboard with information I felt was totally unnecessary and poisonous food. So it was kind of like even woke me up more. I had this like theater, and I had this creating for kids, and then I had the regular school system experience, and then I had the Waldorf, and then I started babysitting a lot while teaching, and spending more individual time with different children in different home settings. And I discovered a whole nother level of things that I wasn't aware of. And then because of various reasons, the last thing I'll share in terms of how I, just started working with adults is because I eventually left Israel. For me, the war situation then was really extreme for my nervous system, and I was guided to come to the US and start creating experiences where people can tap into their inner child and imagination in a unique modality. That's when I started I called it inner child body technique or something like that, or I gave it different names, but it was basically a way of play modality where people can tap into their sense of innocence in their body. So based on my experience with theater and all the creation I did there, I created something like, okay, for someone that doesn't want to be an actor, how can I take any treasures that, because I went to like 3 to 4 years actually of really intense training before acting, all about creation of story and characters and understanding different psyches. Acting isn't just something you do to get on commercial, it's like a very deep process. And so I traveled to America to start facilitating these playful embodiment experiences for people, and witnessing adults just going into immediate awakening where they're like, oh my God, I'm confident, I'm cool, and life is fun. And while I was doing that, I also worked with this company that was just sold called Outside the Box, which was a play modality based on science. So everything was correlated from ways to play with the children, parent-child bonding, through play practices and instruments. And it was all supported by how it's been scientifically proven that it's good for their brain. So it's basically convincing parents and swirling them into playing with their child and seeing that it's actually productive for their child and their neurological development. And that was kind of sad. It was like LA, and I'm like, wow, some of the parents are sending babysitters to this class, and these parents are just, not around to discover this treasure connection that they can have with their child. And so I made this decision. I'm like, you know what, they're strong, they're perfect. I need to focus on these adults. And so I started just working with adults in any possible way, like online adventures, sessions, theta healing. And I really feel like it's a time where I create a space to channel this bridge in between the adult child dynamic. And I have many excuses that my ego would say, like, well, you don't have a child. And like for a while I was like, oh, I better have a baby so I can share about this shit. But this is where I'm at. And so I'm just going to share some more things in this video, not keeping it too long. But this whole concept again of like get with the program, getting the child to get with the program. This is a falsity that has to shed in order for us, I want to name a few, in order for us to actually begin perceiving this magical, alchemical, medicinal relationship we have to children, whether you have children or not. It is a living field that we have on the planet that even if you hear it and you don't have a child, it might even switch how you relate to your own internal innocence or how you grew up as a child. So getting with the program. This is a program that is very distorted. What program? The program that is harsh and intense and even the adult doesn't feel aligned with. Getting the child to get with the program might create a rebellious nature or a Like, how do we say when someone is like, okay, how do you say it? Like they give up on their own internal guidance system in order to keep the parent happy. That's what can happen with from this program of like get with the program, right? And so the program is actually changing now. We're more safe to let go of an idea of some program of reality of training the child to get into this program. It's dismantling. So we can actually let go of this and allow the opportunity and of like, well, what program are we training them for? It's more about like what is present here and what program is being birthed through the relational field of me and my child. So, for example, a parent that might be working a job that they absolutely hate and is torturous, and their child is needing more and more time, and there are more and more issues happening with the child, there could be a potential where if that adult has enough courage to be like, actually, there's something here with my child, and I'm going to be the one tending to it, there could be some transformation in the parent's life, in the adult's life, that brings in way more prosperity and wealth, maybe relocates them to a different environment where they're way happier, where they're less expenses, and then that adult gets to experience a whole new level of awakening with their own connection to source and the planet itself. So that's one highlight about Get with the Program. I want to bring up another, like, kind of distorted belief sometimes that can create a burden sense of being a parent or an adult taking care of a child is I'm not going to pass on my hurts or like my imperfections or like my traumas to the child. So there could be this like I'm a good person, nice person, good parent facade that the child won't actually buy into. The child is very sensitive to authenticity. Children are way less programmed, they're way more connected to source. And so they may act up in illogical ways of, like, again, uh, rebellion, over emotionality, tantrums, because they sense in the field something is not right. So they can sense energy that is stagnant and not moving. So if the parent is trying to be like, I just want my child to be safe from what I experienced. I just want them to be safe from my own inner demons and monster. This actually might worsen an experience when a parent is trying to tend to their child when the child actually isn't even knowing what's wrong. They're just focused on energetic stagnancy and evolution not happening. And children know very much, way more about energy being in motion. They're always moving, they're always playing. So literally, if their parent or an adult caretaker is in this false self facade of, oh, I'm not going to let my energy move because it breaks all these laws of what it means to be a good caretaker, then the child will actually feel like they're under threat. They'll feel like they're with a soul that's in some weird caged box and they can't access the soul. Like that's literally what they're experiencing, even if they don't understand it with their mental brain. They're responding to energy, they're responding to presence. And so this whole dismantling that occurs is like, wait, what is it? What does it mean for me to actually be a space of safety for this child? And there is so much in just asking that question that's available. I'm not going to get into it now. This could be like a whole nother 10 videos. But when we ask that question, what would be a true space of safety, according to Creator's perspective, for this innocence, for this child, and for my own innocence, there's a whole array of choices that could be made other than repressing ourselves. Okay? So that's like the kind of twistedness, and I'm not going to pass on hurts because we experienced our parents passing on hurts to us and what that did for us. But we're focused forward, okay? Our relationship to us focusing on what we're not going to do that our parents did is not what births the new solutions for how we can be with the children. Another one is so there's a difference between, like, it doesn't mean that the children are healers or caretakers. That's not that. They are, in a way, though, this speck of light into coherence and to returning us to the true nature of what this planet is meant to be. I don't know if any of you follow human design or gene keys, but it is said that this year, 2027, is a whole other species layer, type of child that's being born. That even I heard from a few sources, like we might think they're autistic or we might think something's wrong with them, but actually their consciousness is so far from all the programming we went through that they can feel like a different species. And I've seen a lot of, wow, frequency level children coming through last year and this year, and how it's already changing in the parent-child dynamic is just so beautiful to witness. And it also almost makes me feel like, oh, I don't need to say anything, but I'm like, no, this needs to be spread more because there's so many children on the planet, and this goes so deep into the experience of our reality in its truest form, what reality is, what we perceive as true or false, the true definition of truth, the true definition of false can also be sifted through the relationship with the children, which is a whole nother 10 videos, but I'm not going to get into that yet. I just kind of want to highlight a few points here and make this a first video about this topic. I also want to say, like, there's nothing like to guilt or shame about how we've been going about it. We're all innocent in a way. Like, we're all learning every day, remembering, shedding. We're in a really intense process with this experience of everything that we've known to be reality collapsing while everything is being rebirthed through us in every way, like about everything, like whether that be what a good job is or what success is or what prosperity is or like ways to receive prosperity. It's just so much happening at the same time that truly, no matter what you're doing with your child or what you have done or what you've been doing with children, the only invitation in while seeing these things is forgiveness, compassion, and a deep breath. It is not the route of blame, shame, or guilt. It's not those paths. Those paths are part of the system that's dismantling. And so allowing the children to bring things up in us is the best way to be with the children in presence. Oh, I have a trigger there. Oh, I have this pressure on time. Oh, I'm worried about what those people will think of me. Oh, allowing the children to trigger these things in us, to recheck, do life review is healthy. And as we trust it's healthy, it already resolves any unnecessary reactivity or responses that we may regret. When we perceive this, whatever might awaken within us as an adult from a child, as healthy, the healthy responses come into play. And what may happen as this shifts, we literally can experience, I've experienced this while I was caring for a child last year, is I would notice like this trigger and I'm like, wait, okay, they're this spark of source. What is this? Where does it come from? This trigger I just had, is it really unsafe or is it just something that's clearing through? And it turned out to be something that was clearing through. And again and again, I would experience with this amazing child how literally, I think like just 2 or 3 years old, where reality was like all these binds and tensions and dense patterns would melt. And I would tap into this like prismic reality with this child, where no, the child wasn't my healer. This child was a gateway for me to remember the true nature of life and meet me in presence like maybe no adult could. And then it's like a reciprocal thing, right? Like when we're in presence, true presence, and allowing just triggers to move or old things to fall. With children, it's like we have so much more to offer them. We have the knowing of how matter works more, and can take them on all these adventures of matter and numbers and colors. And like, there's endless ways to guide children into the material plane without needing all the programming. And so allowing us to be triggered by the children and seeing it as healthy is something that can really transform how you experience that time with the child. There's so much more to say about that as well. I even find that the natural way of whatever we would call education for children unfolds. It's like the universe gives you, it's like, now it's time for them to learn this. Show them this, this, this. It like feels like a scavenger hunt or adventure where I feel like I'm playing too. And so this whole burden of them being educated, like, I don't know, I just remember going to school and it feeling absolutely horrible. Like, I just was like, what is going on with these adults? And I felt bad for them. Actually felt more bad for the adults because as a child, I knew it was all an illusion, but they were taking it seriously. So it's very interesting as we go deeper and deeper into this relational field with children, where it reveals itself to us. And this is also one of the most exciting journeys we can go on. And again, you don't need a child to actually have this experience. There are children everywhere, and we can actually begin seeing our whole upbringing differently as you hear this and you contemplate this. So, allowing the children to not only bring up the triggers, but to dismantle outdated societal beliefs, structures, and ways of being could be one of the greatest gifts to the child. So, and to you. Might save you a lot of money going to a therapist. I'm just saying that there's so many tensions and burdens and fears that we have when we feel a child is about to dismantle a program just by their presence. They're not even doing it consciously. They're just following the energy. Is the greatest gift we can give to the child for them trusting their own connection to source, their own energy, their own intuitive guidance system. And it's a gift for us. And then it's a co-creative field of literally repatterning and recreating reality from the most important relational field, which is child adult, where that information gets passed on from generation to generation to generation. And when I was contemplating today what is the most purposeful thing I could feel purposeful about, because I've had I have a lot coming through me, different sparks, different topics, different things. And when I look at life, like after leaving this life as I know it, there is nothing more important than this, than to tend to this field. Because this is the generation leading to the next generation, leading to the next generation is literally the fabric, it's what weaves all of existence. And so I kind of want to, first of all, I want to invite you to Playful Parenting, an online class where you can bring up your struggles. We can talk about this. I can share tools and new ways of relating with the child. There is literally limitless ways we can relate to children in the real-time situations where we're like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Where super simple ways that can literally transform not only your relationship to the child, but your relationship to yourself, your relationship to reality, to God, to everything. So we'll be bringing all that up real time. And that's happening on May 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific. And so you can sign up via my link tree in the description box below. But there's so much more that I can talk about why this is so important on a global scale, on our own physical health, in what's happening in the globe. Like, this is where it's at. And so I would love to see you. I would love to hear about what you're dealing with. I would love to learn more, and I would love to offer. I can't really even share everything I've been through in this lifetime just yet. I just shared snippets of my experience with children in particular regarding this specific video. So I'd love to hear what this brings up in you. Feel free to share a comment and just, yeah, I feel called to like end with a little blessing that wherever children are feeling repressed right now, that they be blessed to feel seen, heard, and safe to be who they are. And wherever children may feel like they're being projected on or seen as though something's wrong with them, that they're blessed to know not to take this on and to see themselves as Creator sees them. And blessing all parents that wherever parents feel burnt out or like they're really struggling or at this dead end with their child, that they feel this new sense of curiosity and wonder about what's possible and excited for that being maybe a joy point rather than a pain point. So thank you to whoever was here, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.